Well, welcome to the Stade Pierre, Antoine, the home of Castres. It's Pool 1 in the Heineken Cup, both matches happening simultaneously here in the Tarn region of southwest France. The visitors are Leinster, and over 2 weekends when all sorts of permutations come into play, the most straightforward one here is that if Leinster win with a bonus point and Northampton don't match that at the Ospreys, then Leinster will qualify as pool winners. Well, let's take a look at the team, shall we? The Castres team reflects how torn the coaches are between their obligations to deliver to a home crowd and a resigned acknowledgement their hopes of qualification have all but gone. No Rory Cockett or Antoine Claassen. There's the Leinster side. Jimmy Gofforth was impressive off the bench for Leinster last weekend at Connacht. He starts at fly half, so is one of the alterations Matt O'Connor has made to the side, beaten by Northampton in round 4. In the back row, Geordie Murphy sees his first European involvement this season. He wears 7. At 6, Kevin McLaughlin, who's been missing with a thumb injury. Dave Carney referred to Zane Kirshner on one wing, and it's a special day for Dave's brother Rob, who joins an illustrious Leinster club. The fullback plays his 50th match in the Heineken Cup. The Castres replacements include hooker Brice Mack, who's been knocking on the door for inclusion in the France squad in recent months, and the rabbit out of the Leinster hat, the late inclusion of Cian Healy, set to make his first appearance since the end of November. Well, the Stade Pierre Antoine has been, well, not quite engulfed, but at least partially taken over by those Leinster flags. Ask any elite sportsman when you get the best out of them, and they'll tell you that it's when it matters most, when the nerves are jangling, when the prize is the greatest, and when the pressure to deliver is at its most acute. Now, no other side in the last 5 years in Europe has met that challenge head-on more often or more successfully than Leinster.
Well, the big question today is whether Castres will be emotionally invested in this game. They have a proud record here in this stadium, not having lost since Ulster came here last year, 51 weeks ago. Will that necessity to keep these home fans happy trump the reality that they're unlikely to move on in this tournament?
Well, Leinster forced into a change of strip today. If you look up in the sky, not a cloud to be seen. It's been very wet in the southwest of France over the last couple of weeks. You can see the evidence of that on the pitch. It really is very silty, sandy. It's reasonably firm underfoot, but there are some pretty bald patches. David Carrère there, one of the coaching team at Castres, looking on. And the crowd waiting for the arrival of the French champions. Don't forget that. They're flying high at the moment in the top 14. This, I suppose you could describe it as it's the pool of you-know-what, isn't it? Very, very competitive indeed. And Castres not entirely out of it. A win here could send them to Northampton next week with a real chance.
I think this pitch gives a real indication of the type of game we're going to see from Castres today. From touchline to 15, it's really cut up, and that's the type of game they play. Last time Leinster came here, they moved the ball, they scored the tries, but ultimately it was Castres that came out on top, but they ground them down with a huge forward pack, and they have similar today. Fossier, Wihongi, Radier, all in the front row, big men, everyone.
Well, no compromises in terms of the quality of officials either. There is the referee, Nigel Owens. The cries of tous ensemble, traditional here at Castres, all together. Well, that I'm sure will be pretty much the message that Matt O'Connor delivered to Leinster today. It is a crucial afternoon in the pool phase of the Heineken Cup. And Jamie Heaslip, who, if you believe the rumours, could be on his way to France next season. Sean O'Brien, an injured teammate who will be missed today, who certainly is being lined up, it would appear, for a move to Toulon. But today it's all about Leinster. It's all about adding to that great record in Europe.
Ambition straight away from Leinster. We've seen the replacement for Sean O'Brien, Kevin McLaughlin, using the hands out the back, and linking the forwards to the backs very well. We saw Jamie Heaslip take the first ball. He's going to have to carry a lot more today. Leinster without their two primary ball carriers in O'Brien and Healy, although Healy is on the bench.
An interesting call from Leinster. They won the toss, and so they had the option, and they're playing into what is a pretty strong breeze. It's blowing, as you look at the picture, from right to left. There's also a very bright but a wintry sun hanging over the back right-hand corner of us, if you know what I mean. So there will be one or two kicks down towards the Leinster end here that will have the back three squinting into the sun. There goes Seremaya by the Fiji international. Cedric Garcia, there's no problem there with Gopper. He was onside. Remy Tallis steps in to play scrum half. In all likelihood, he will be the starting 10 for France when the Six Nations gets underway. There's Garcia. No Rory Cockett here. Don't forget that. Remy Lamara straight into the action, the former Toulouse centre. There goes Talles again. Really is a classic 10. France have been looking for one of those for quite a while. Oh, Farsalelli lets it slip through his fingers. It's turned over. Out from Heaslip. That was a bit too high for Gordon Darcy. Recovery there from Brian O'Driscoll. And there's the clearance kick into the wind. The bounce for a moment, embarrassing Evans. On to Brice Dulin. Dulin, he too in that France squad for the Six Nations. Very talented fullback. Garcia, who's only made a handful of appearances this season. Probably the number 3 scrum half at Castres, behind Cockett and the replacement today. Good catch there for Carney early on with that sun, which yet can be quite difficult, can't it, today?
It can. I think a low wiper into that right corner could cause trouble for Luke Fitzgerald. The sun's just at eye level and could be struggling. Apart from that, I don't think it's going to play a major factor. What we see there from Castres, though, is interesting. Carrying the ball more than we expected. We also saw an indication of the line speed of Leinster, which looks very, very fast. In the warm-up before the game, we saw them trying to get off the line, trying to knock the players down behind the gain line, and that's something that O'Connor has brought to this Leinster side this year.
Christoph Samson, the target there in the line-out. Man who's played in the last 2 top 14 finals, although interestingly the only man of quite a few who's played in the last 2 top 14 finals who emerged as a winner from one of them. The reason being that whilst Toulon were in the last 2 finals, Samson played in the first of those finals for Toulon and then against Toulon last time for Castres.
This is a great attacking position for Leinster. Early on they showed that they want to move the ball. Scrum on the left-hand side, plenty of room to work. The Castres full back a little bit deeper. There's space in the middle, but also you can see Luke Fitzgerald, the position that he's holding just on the right-hand side of the scrum. He'll be looking to get involved, and Leinster will try and have a full back line against 4+1 in the Castres D.
Yes, you've already mentioned today, Shane, the emotional pull, just how influential that is with French clubs, particularly so here at Castres, and maybe that to a degree can be measured by the number of empty seats at the Stade Pierre Antoine. It's reasonably full. We understood that the tickets weren't shifting particularly fast. They don't play that many games on a Sunday. If this was Oyonnax on a Friday night, the top 14, you can guarantee every seat would be full.
I think so. I think the other thing that is a factor here for the Castres team is they're under such pressure from the home fans. They live in, this is a town where they meet the fans on the street. They have to, if they want to go for a cup of coffee, they want to have a meal out, they're going to meet the fans. That places a responsibility on their performance, and whether that be on a Sunday or on a Friday night under lights, they have to stay here for the rest of the week.
Yes, it's a real small town atmosphere, isn't it? A traditional rugby town in the southwest of France. About an hour's drive from Toulouse, the Ville Rose, which is very much the capital of this part of France. Big game happening there later today. But 1 hour or so down the winding road to Castres. It's a very different psychology. But in rugby terms, it's very hard as well. Well, Marc-Antoine Rallier, unable to find his man. We saw Brice Mack had those problems. The hooker when the reverse fixture happened at the RDS. There's Evans turning on a sixpence, the Scotland international. Garcia out to Tales. There's Dulin onto Seremaya Bai. Giving some go forward here to Castres. That was Tales taking it on, but he's been stripped. Great work there from Jack McGrath, but then a little bit clumsy and it went forward. And then a second knock-on. Referee's playing the advantage. In fact, I'm not sure there was a first knock-on, or there was, but not the one I thought it was. No, in fact, he has been steered from the sideline there as Nigel Owen. So that first knock-on from Leinster has been spotted.
And great tackle there from both Jack McGrath and Owen Redden. One holding up, the other grabbing the ball, wrestling the ball out, and eventually coming back on the Leinster side. Two-man tackle, something that Irish teams work very hard on, and to great effect. We saw the carrying of Bai there in midfield. Leinster will not be happy with him getting his hands free. That's what his game is based around. Give him the ball early, he runs at a gap, and hopefully he can get his hands free. Again, Lamarat and Dulin, Rousseau and Evans running off him.
Yeah, Seremaya Bai in the centre, now 35. He's played 49 test matches for Fiji.
He carry a bit of ball for you.
Outstanding career in France, and there we see the power of that Castres pack. Here goes Bai again, just staying on his feet. He's made rather more metres than Leinster would have liked. Darcy there over the ball, secured out by Diarra. Here goes Forestier, the loose head, held up by Mike Ross. It's gone forward again, so both sides turning over plenty of ball at the moment. There's McCarthy.
There's a lot of space in the backfield with a turnover. Castres are very committed when they're attacking, so they have all the backs up flat, including their wingers and full-back. If there's a quick turnover, there's a lot of space in behind that could be exploited by a long kick.
Out there from Owen Redden, Gordon Darcy, the little stab through. Gathered by Luke Fitzgerald, there's the offload.
And Luke Fitzgerald has been so good since he came back after a long injury. He's looked really sharp in the last couple of months.
Rob Kearney, his 50th appearance today in the Heineken Cup. Well, you just mentioned him. Good stepping there again from Fitzgerald, but it's turned over. That's Babio, the youngster. Out from Samson, couldn't find Diarra, to Remy Grosso. Grosso fires it over the shoulder there of Dave Kearney, and there you saw the influence of that wind. It's blowing pretty hard out there. Brother Rob onto the left foot. Ball held up in the wind. Cedric Garcia, chance to counter here. Here's Barcelelli, the Samoa international. Babio is the first to the breakdown there. Here's Dulin. A hint of a numerical advantage. Castres, well, if there were any doubts about their commitment to this contest, they've been dispelled in these opening minutes.
They're certainly committed to it, and Leinster looked a little slow to get round the corner there. There was a danger. They should employ the lower kick. There's quite a strong breeze out there, and it's causing trouble for Leinster. They're trying to kick the ball long and high, it's holding up.
There's Bai, onto Richie Gray, the Scotland international. Gray said to be joined by his former Glasgow teammate Johnny Beattie next season. He's on his way to Castres, making a move from Montpellier. Here goes Diarra. Great offload from Diarra, taken by Lamarat. Remy Lamarat, he's away. May need a bit of support here. Great break from the former Toulouse man. Helped out by Tales. Real chance here for Castres. Out to Gray. And Richie Gray gets the try for Castres.
A great try for Castres. We mentioned hands-free is the problem. They were hands-free by Diarra in the middle of the field, and then a beautiful floated pass by Bay right over into the left-hand corner, and a try.
Well, the break was made by Remy Lamarat, and fans from Ulster will remember how we started things off in that round 6 match last year when he got the early try against Ulster. Now Ulster came back. Can Leinster do the same?
Great ball by Bai there. That's the Leinster defence, fast in. It leaves the option on the outside, but they've really gone after the ball. They looked for it. Great step on the outside, identified a mismatch, and that is fantastic ball out the back. Lammer really goes after it, and look at this fight. He keeps on fighting, hand off, pumping the legs, gets the extra yardage, commits more numbers, and then he doesn't go to ground. Tale gets the ball, and again this beautiful pass. Great vision from Bai, and a handy try for Mr. Gray.
We certainly saw the value of experience there from Jeremiah Bai, who I mentioned doesn't play too many matches here, but the try has been confirmed after it having been passed on there to Derek Bevan for confirmation. Well,
special play by Diarra though. Really was fantastic. He looked out the back, held down just before he went to ground, got the ball off in behind the Leinster back, popped up, and Lamara really fought so hard. Used his pace, his power, got a big strong fend, and eventually moved the ball wide.
Well, it may look like water or something similar in that 50-metre stretch between the near touch line there, or from the near touch line. It's something of a sand pit. The last game here was 9 days ago when Castres beat Bordeaux-Bègles. There wasn't a try scored in that match, but we've had one very swiftly here. So here's the left foot of Cedric Garcia, and Garcia, well, stroked it as if he's been taking them all season. That, in fact, just his 4th competitive kick this season, but significantly, he has yet to miss one.
And Leinster, if they want to compete in this game, will have to stop the hands free, and also they have to put the man down first time. There was 3 or 4 committed to that tackle, and as a result, it left the mismatch out wide. But I don't know if Leinster were expecting this from Castres. They were really playing a passing game, something that wouldn't be expected if you did your video analysis.
Barcelelli collects the restart, back to Tales. You can't really overstate just how important that first score is for Castres. Had it gone the other way, I know we're indulging slightly in stereotypes here, but you could have seen the Castres heads drop.
If there was doubts, if there was doubts in the mind, if there was worries about how committed they were going to be, it's all changed now.
Richie Gray, the try scorer, gets a big right palm on that one. Here's Bai again. Lamara, I should say. That was Evans.
Leave it, White, leave it.
Well, it's been an exciting first 10 minutes. Back from Tales. Garcia directs it forward.
There really is quite a win there. This could be a scrum back.
He barely touched it. And it has gone dead.
That was just a little flick. Gives Leinster an exciting opportunity to attack from.
Yeah, they both went down, they both tried to come back up, so it's an issue. Okay?
I think we saw a couple of times one of the flaws in that fast defensive line speed system, that it can give you the odd elbow. And if you're no force, if you don't panic, if you don't throw the pass to the man outside you, and you actually take that elbow, you can get big yardage.
Close enough, Ben?
That try by Castres, by the way, the first time in quite a lot of Heineken Cup rugby since they scored their last try. They've been a full 5 halves of Heineken Cup rugby without scoring a try. More than 3.5 hours of game time.
Same as the last one.
Not great if you're a winger. We don't like those statistics. Leinster stack the open side here. Lou Fitzgerald standing in the pocket behind the scrum. Still holding, forces the right wing for Castres to hold his wing.
More problems at the scrum.
Big trouble at scrum time. Big trouble. 1 against the head. That time a penalty. That has to be sorted. That's a fantastic opportunity. Spurn just outside the 22. And now with the wind behind, big yardage.
And it's Brice Dulin with the left foot who fires it down that right-hand touchline. Well, let's get another look at this and see maybe where this one comes apart.
Kick the bones out of that one.
– 14 minutes gone. Castres lead by 7 points to 0. Kevin McLaughlin back in the Leinster side today. Another player who missed a trip to Connacht, Luke Fitzgerald. That was because of illness. Rallier fired down there by Gray, the try scorer. Tales, Jeremiah Bai. Evans was tracking on his inside looking for the offload.
And again, concerningly, Boy manages to get his hands free. They're looking to pop that ball, not play rugby, but actually play the ball off the ground at all times. Very hard to defend. Leinster going a little bit too high in the man. They need to go for the snap ankle tackle and then on the ball afterwards.
Pick up that time by Christophe Samson, full France international. There's quite a few around wearing blue today. Here's Cedric Garcia onto Wyongi. Wyongi was one of the stars of the latter stages of last season's top 14 campaign.
Very strong scrummager, but can carry the ball well, as we saw there, running very upright against Dev Toner.
Tallez, Dulin in the line again. There's Babiot wearing 6. Garcia onto Diarra. Oh, that was clever from Tallez. Clever but forward, says Nigel Owens, and I suspect he was correct.
I think so. I don't know how you can throw the ball through your legs and still manage to go forward, but we saw Brian O'Driscoll do it a couple of times this year. Maybe it's catching. Touch and go.
It was quite brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastic, and that's one of the reasons why he might be starting for France in the Six Nations. We've even seen this early in the first 15 minutes. We've seen that he can distribute the ball very well. Very comfortable passing off both sides, puts the ball in front, and still retains attacking threat as well, which is key. That's the key thing for 10s. They have to retain, no matter how good the distribution is, they still have to be a threat against the line themselves.
Yes, that was Serge Mias we saw on the touchline. He's one half of the coaching team here. Serge Mias, who established his reputation at La Rochelle a few years ago, along with David Dari-Carrère. Do you know who his 10 was at La Rochelle all those years ago? Certain Remy Tallez.
Oh, very good. Although concerns there for Leinster as well. That's the second time they've been caught a little short on the keep on going side. It's unusual for them not to get men around the corner fast enough to D up, but that's a couple of occasions now where they haven't, and maybe hedging their bets a little that Castres will come back down on their short side, but they're not. They're very much a keep on going side so far today.
Well, it's been a weekend when almost match by match a team has booked their places in the quarterfinals a week early. Leinster won't want to miss the bus.
Luke Fitzgerald is standing in a perfect position for a crossfield kick here.
Yeah, shielding his eyes from the sun, but he's just stepped in from the far touchline now. Here goes Darcy. Carney's in the line, just drifting across field. The tackle from Lamara. There's Owen Redden. Devon Toner, the Heineken Cup lighthouse, 6'11". Out there from Redden. Rob Carney comes in field. Leinster want to keep the ball in hand here, just settle themselves a little bit. They have been dictated to over the course of the first 18 minutes, and now there's a space, and there's looking for support here, Owen Redden. Well, Brice Dulin came up and made the tackle. There it is for Redden again. Here's Geordie Murphy, held up by Samson.
Redden fooled everyone with that little break just off the side of the ruck, but unfortunately he fooled all his Leinster teammates as well, none of them were up with him. Gofford on the other side was looking for a kick through.
Gofford. Dave Carney that time. That's the 22 you can see in the background. Gofford. Here's Carney. Well, somebody's lost a boot. There's Brian O'Driscoll. Pirouetting. He slipped. Inside to Cronin. Here's an opportunity for Leinster. Cronin, held up 4 metres out. Now can they produce it?
Yeah, from behind.
In goes Diarra. He was legal, says the referee.
Diarra saved a try there, certain try. Leinster had 3 men on the overlap outside. The ball squirted out. Diarra got on it, and as a result, a great kick to Tallez, and takes play to the 40-metre. Great break for Jamie Heaslip, again getting his hands free, gives the ball to Cronin almost as fast as any back, makes great yardage, puts the ball on a plate. And where does Diarra come from? Oh, I gotta think that's in from the side. Don't know if he came through the gate there. It's a difficult angle to see from, but Nigel Owen was right on point there and decided that he came through the gate. But a certain try save there. He's had a big influence in the game so far.
Remy Lamoureux just getting some treatment there, but evidence that both defences can be penetrated in the first quarter of this match. That was out from... oh, and here goes Babio, the youngster. Tales fires it back to Garcia. By again. Sees a little chink of light in the defence. Back to Garcia. They're playing with such speed here at Castres. There's Lamoureux just bouncing off the defenders. Releasing Grosso. And Grosso's got Dulin inside him. There's Brice Dulin. And Dulin scores the try. And Nigel Owen says the pass is fine.
And that's a 14-point turnaround in a matter of 2 minutes. Fantastic play by Castres. They've really gone after this game. They're playing all the rugby. Leinster are missing tackles and they're being made to pay for it. Great catch by Grosso down the sideline. Real winger's pace. And Tale in the inside.
Well, if there's one gesture that has told you all you need to know about the first 20 minutes, it came from Nigel Owens there. I need a drink.
Certainly, he's had a bit of work to do because the game is really flowing. That's great pace to get out on the outside. Kevin McLaughlin drawing in Carney, and then an easy run in to the try line for Dulin.
So Dulin, his third try of the season.
But the initial turnover came from that man again, Diarra.
Yes, Ibrahim Diarra, who's a one cap for France. Started a game in the Six Nations back in 2008. There is Jeremiah Bai just blowing a little bit, as he might well do.
He's done a lot of work today. He's carried a lot of balls so far. Leinster, the defensive system they're implementing, they're trying to get up and in the face of this Castres team. But Castres are buying themselves time by lying a little bit deeper, and as a result, the individual defenders are getting isolated. They're having to come up really fast to try and stop the ball. And if you come up that fast indeed, the merest of steps either side makes it very difficult to tackle the man. And there he is, Diarra again, turns that ball over.
And it was a good inside pass there from Remy Grosso, the wing. He had Dulin screaming for it, running down the inside, but the fullback made such ground.
Smart play by Dulin, wanted the second touch, wanted the ball, ran the line, he may not have got it, but things opened up. Got round Kevin McLaughlin and received the ball on the inside. Big job now for Leinster.
Well, there are some empty seats at the Stade Pierre, Antoine, but the centre of town is about 5 minutes walk away. News may well have already carried through the narrow streets down to the centre of town, to the coffee bars, and now it's Gopper who knocks it on. Well, they thought for a moment they were away. 23 minutes gone. The score, Castres 14, Leinster 0.
We're going to learn a lot about this Leinster team now. They're not in this position very often. So you said only 23 minutes gone, 14 points down. With the exception of being in the 22 before the second Castres try, haven't really looked as if they're going to break down this Castres defence yet.
Well, it was billed to be perhaps the most competitive pool in the Heineken Cup when Leinster went to Franklin's Gardens and put 40 points on Northampton. It all looked very different, but who would have thought, having been there, we could find ourselves here. Another powerful scrum. It's their calling card at Castres, this sort of stuff. Well, they thought they got a penalty.
And the crowd here aren't happy with that decision, and it does look a little strange. Castres seem to be very much on top at scrum time. Nigel Owen explaining that he'd be telling everybody, keeping everyone informed of what he wanted to happen, and I think he wanted the ball moved.
Yes, and in contrast to many of the packs these days in France, it's a very French pack. And certainly the dominant personalities are French. And you do wonder on a couple of occasions there might be one or two language issues out there. But here we get the extra surge again coming from Castres. Well controlled though by Leinster. There goes Darcy, over halfway into the sandpit.
I think there's a smart play by Darcy there. Had the option out the back, but he didn't. He controlled the ball and took it up.
More wonderful work there from Diarra. Grosso's after it. Back goes Goffin. But Remy Grosso was ahead of the kicker.
A little too eager. Diarra's really having a huge influence on this match. And the Leinster back row, McLaughlin, Murphy and Heaslip, very tight there.
Well, I must say that looked okay to my eye. Leinster may be a little fortunate there.
They certainly can't say they haven't got a couple of breaks from Nigel Owen so far.
Yes, the boos and the jeers that come from French crowds can often be discounted, but on that occasion they may just have had a point. Anyway, can Leinster take advantage of that break? They need a break here. 14 minutes to go to half-time. They trail by 14. Cronin finds Tote.
Very well set maul.
Still a maul, it's a maul.
It's still a maul, says Nigel Owens.
Away.
You can just see the ball being controlled there at the base.
Number 8 on the side.
And now there's the penalty advantage, and it's rumbling on. And he's still got it in hand there, Geordie Murphy. There's still the penalty advantage here. And the player's been penalised is Farsalelli.
It was a very well set maul. You knew from the moment that was taken down, it looked more like a scrum than a maul. It was almost perfection. The ball moved to the back and it rumbled on very well. Just as it was about to break up, you saw Brian O'Driscoll run in from the centre to add his weight and his mauling ability. But as it turned out, Leinster almost in the same position they started at.
Get the timings right in the sacking, okay? Make sure they land.
There's Geordie Murphy. His first
involvement
involvement in the Heineken Cup this season, made his debut last season as a replacement against Clermont-Auvergne. So Cronin. Again to Toner. Again it's Murphy. Can he get over the line?
Release.
Just held up short.
I think that ball was stolen.
Well, I think Nigel Owens is saying that it was carried over. So it was stolen.
Yeah.
And then grounded. But it's Farsalelli underneath it there.
Timeout.
Castres very strong at ruck time. Very strong. They've stolen a couple of balls, a couple of penalties. Very committed.
When you collapse.
There on the right, the manager, Matthias Roland, who was the captain of Castres for 3 or 4 seasons, gave up that role at the end of last year to take over once the two Laurents, Laurent Levitte, Laurent Travers, had moved up to Paris to take charge of Racing Metro.
They had so much success here as well. They're such a formidable coaching team. Things not going brilliant in Paris for them at the moment.
No, Roland came down with the two Laurents from Montemar a few years ago, and as soon as they came here, things started to happen for the two Laurents. They made the playoffs in the top 14 year in, year out. Every year they were here, and then signed off by taking the title. But it's amazing, suddenly they've got every wish they have is answered in the affirmative, but things not quite happening for them.
I think projects like that take time as well.
You do okay?
Well, time is not something Leinster have necessarily got here. They got good field position. They got 12 minutes in the first half. They trail by 14. If we're looking at factors in their favour, that win will be at their backs in the second 40.
That's very important. They scrum first here. You can't have any heads sticking up in the back row to see what's going on. Think about what move they're going to play. It has to be scrum first. 8 men down.
If they can get a score here, it would change the complexion. It's been controlled by Heaslip there. from Redden. Goffert is through!
Great set by Goffert, but great run there. Redden really smart. Carney ran from the left-hand side, the scrum to the right. He drew Thales over into the defensive line. Redden picked it up, went straight to Goffert, and as a result, Goffert, there was space inside for a big step and underneath the sticks. An important time for a try, and a really good try by Leinster. Good play by both Goffert, but also by Owen Redden. Smart play, being aware of what's going on in the field.
Well, it was one of the big calls that Matt O'Connor made today, the selection of Jimmy Goffert at 10 in preference to Ian Madigan.
Very little between the two, you know, very similar in play. They're not two 10s that have contrasting styles in any way. They're very, very similar. You'd imagine it just must be a form or a good decision, but seems to be vindicated so far. But I'd imagine we could well see something from Madigan today at some stage.
Dave Carney at the moment out of picture here, getting some treatment, but he is up and running with his left ankle looking heavily strapped. He may well have turned it over, but there you see Goffert.
It was that run from Carney though that took Thales from one side of the scrum to the other. A really clever run. Castres defence bid on it, and Owen Redden identified it, and Goffert again identified a big step off the left foot in under the sticks.
On the touchline there we saw David Dari Carrere, who is the backs coach. Well, here's a change being forced on Castres, and it is a significant one. We've seen the fly half, Remy Thales, go off, and he's been replaced by the New Zealander Daniel Kirkpatrick. So you could say not one but two breaks there going the way of Leinster. Don't forget the field position which led to the try, created by the penalty call against Remy Grosso. Barcelelli climbs high, takes a good catch. Looks a very different game now.
Thales going off could be significant. You know, he's a real go-to player for them.
Here goes Babio. Diarra. Very abrasive player. It was his little tug in the back of the shirt in the top 14 final, the shirt of Bucky's Burter, which opened up the gap for Rory Cockett, the steam under the post for the try, which eventually won the top 14 title. So he's a student of the sport's darker arts as well, is Ibrahim Diarra, an outstanding rugby player.
You look at the way the Castres team are carrying the ball. They're really looking to get their hands free now. That does give opportunities, as we saw there, to get in on the ball and to rip. And we've seen Jack O'Brien do that particularly well on a number of occasions today. But Babio is carrying loose. Diarra is carrying loose. They're looking to get the ball away, and along with in the centre by. So it's a concern. If it works, there can be huge gains in yardage from it. But if it doesn't, it's potential turnover.
Well, this is the second meeting of these two sides at this ground. The other one back in December 2008 in this competition. Castres won it by 18 points to 15, but significantly, Leinster went on that season to lift the cup, beating Leicester in the final at Murrayfield.
Leinster had a brilliant first half. In contrast to today's game, they had a brilliant first half that day. The team got off to a great start with, I think, Gervin Dempsey and Johnny Sexton, who would have only been one of his first games for Leinster in the Heineken Cup, scoring tries. But they were pegged back eventually by Castres, who really ground down that Leinster side. But a use not dissimilar today, their use of their scrum and their line out.
Yes, we caught a glimpse there of John O'Gibbs on his way to be the number 2 at Clermont-Auvergne next season. Well, the side who've come nearest to winning here, look at that, it's another one. And Murphy there has come offside. And it's going to be a penalty. Now, what will Castres do with this? It'll be difficult to find a decent spot to pop the kicking tee on, I would have thought, from around there.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely kick 3 points here. It'd be really nice, just going and not a million miles away from half-time. But it's hard to see how Leinster could win this game with a scrum going so badly as that. It's really in all sorts of trouble there. Of course, Cian Healy on the bench, potential to bring him on along with Marty Moore, but Cian's only back after a serious ankle injury. Would be quite a risk to throw him in at this stage.
Beg your pardon, Shane. I mentioned that about trying to find a decent spot to put up the kicking tee. Well, the moment the penalty was given, 4 Castres players,
You have 1 minute.
like gardeners, weren't there? They were knocking down the divots.
Yeah.
The water boy came on. He was knocking down the divots. Garcia's been knocking down the divots.
I think Garcia's done himself a favour and brought it back about 5 metres, giving himself a bit of more secure footing. But it's a mess down there.
Yes, before this game, his only kicks at goal were 2 conversions against Bayonne in November, and he kicked a penalty when he came off the bench 9 days ago here against Bordeaux-Bègles. So, Garcia, that kick trying to find its way back, but it didn't. It's a missed opportunity. It's Cedric Garcia's first missed kick of the season.
It doesn't really count when you've only had about 5.
Yeah, exactly. And Tony Clarkson there in the centre of the picture. Alongside him, Romain Machar, the 6'6" wing. There's Murphy. Bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky in the Tarn region. Glorious day. Here's Heaslip. Got McCarthy alongside him. There's McCarthy just drifting across field. Driscoll tracking, there he is, Driscoll.
Clever D by Bye there, didn't bite in. Hugh McCarthy wouldn't have the pace to go around him, bought himself time, and although he gave up some yardage, ultimately made the tackle, and Castres reset the defensive line.
Well, Leinster in possession, but it's all lateral movements at the moment. Heaslip.
Release! Rock!
There's Redden. This is Fabrice Dulin. Safe pair of hands, the fullback. Pumps it up himself. Redden's underneath it, so is Dulin, but it's gone forward off the hands of Dulin.
He didn't look, he did well there. A good take and a swirling ball, and it was almost a dead duck. It was floating all around the place, and he took the ball well. A reasonable kick. And he got in the air, but eventually knocked it on. Again, a quality player, a player who caused Leinster trouble in Dublin in the first fixture.
There they are, the 2 coaches of Castres, David Dari-Carrère alongside Serge Mias.
Leinster been a little bit more lateral today than you'd normally expect for them. Maybe missing that carrying of Sean O'Brien, who's very direct. And Cian Healy, again, another very direct runner. Carries at the moment a little bit lateral. Haven't seen much of Jordy Murphy getting on the ball. He's carried a couple of times and to some effect, but that back row really need to start carrying more ball.
Once again, the sheer power of that Castres pack. Front 5. One of, if not the best in France.
Attempted cross kick there to Luke Fitzgerald, who held his width, and we see that that wind is still causing trouble. That was a pretty well executed kick, but the wind held it up a bit too much, made it more difficult, gave time for Evans to get back and make it difficult for Luke Fitzgerald.
So it's the last 3 minutes of the half. Marc-Antoine Rallier finds Samson.
Some more, keep it up now! Number 4!
Well, Devin Toner receiving some instruction there from Nigel Owens. Penalty advantage here to Castres if they want it. There goes Seremiah by, puncturing another hole, but Nigel Owens says the advantage hasn't come, but it's going to be Devin Toner who's been penalised.
We see there again, although they didn't play it out, but by exploiting the Leinster defence, Leinster coming up very fast, but Castres are keeping space and depth in between their backs, and as a result it's very much one-on-one tackles at high speed, and it's a very, very difficult technique to master, to try and tackle someone when you're coming up that fast and they've got space on either side. And maybe Leinster need to move back to a away from the quicker line speed to more controlled line speed to gather in a line.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, maybe not take as much space, not take as much yardage, but be more secure in the tackle, because at the moment, by Lamarat really exploiting the Leinster defence.
You were a good number 9, yes? Yeah?
So here is Cedric Garcia, his first season at the Stade Pierre, Antoine. A bit of humour there between Nigel Owens and Cedric Garcia. Garcia smiling. I'm not sure he entirely understood everything, but...
This is a confidence kick as well. It's quite important that he gets this over. It's not easy. It's a long way out. He's got his left foot, which makes it a little bit easier, but he misses this. All of a sudden the pressure starts to mount for the next kick.
Well, he's got the distance and he's got the line. How important is that?
Really, really important, I think. One, going into half-time, 3 points, but also the confidence in the kicker. As you said, not the natural kicker here, not even the second choice kicker. But that was a big, big kick. It wasn't easy, and it sailed over.
Yes, I'd say he's third choice kicker, third choice scrum half.
He's playing like he wants to be first.
Yes, Julien Thomas, who's a full France international, is the number 2 scrum half here. Rory Cockett, perhaps the most valuable commodity at the moment in French rugby. Leaving rested today. There goes Rallier. Last 20 seconds of the first half. It really is set up wonderfully for the second 40, when Leinster will have that wind behind them. But it's turned over. There goes Fitzgerald. McCarthy pops it up to Geordie Murphy.
Rock is called!
Rob Kearney, Heaslip. Rob Kearney again, missing out Darcy. On there to Goppert, the floated pass. Well plucked out of the air by Dave Kearney.
Dave Kearney did well to stay in there. Not a great pass from Goffert.
Well, this will be the last play of the half. There's Owen Redden. Inside ball to Kearney, Dave Kearney that is. On to McCarthy. McCarthy, 11 years a professional rugby player before he earned his first cap for Ireland. There's Rob Kearney, whose talents were recognised rather earlier. His 50th Heineken Cup appearance today. Goppert, inside ball there. Castres defensive line holding firm. Darcy trying to find a gap between Forestier and Diarra. So a good first 40 is Ibrahim Diarra. On to Toner that time.
And Leinster trying to keep the ball here, trying to buy a penalty just before half time. Nothing flash, just going through the phases.
Gopperth, here's Heaslip. We're up to the 22 now. Darcy. Oh, and through goes Fitzgerald. It's a terrific break. Held up 6 metres out.
No!
Great line by Luke Fitzgerald there. Coming on the diagonal. Really hard running, pumping the legs. Gets in behind the Castres defence and recycles the ball.
That time it was Murphy. Out there to Gopperth. Into the gap out wide here. Gopperth is through again. Can he get to the line? That was wonderful.
Fantastic by Jimmy Goffert. He had 2 men outside him. I think they would have been in trouble if he didn't get to the try line, but eventually it paid off. Leinster retaining phase after phase, looking for work and overloading the Castres defence. And simply a wide pass to Brian O'Driscoll, another wide pass to put Goffert in a bit of space, and then him using his footwork, which he did for the first try also. With options outside, identifies the mismatch against Gray and sticks the arm out for what looked like there's no trouble with that try.
What a wonderful finish that was. The long reach with the right arm. It would have been so easy for that ball to slip.
Slam that ball down.
Yes, it was almost hooked inside his wrist, wasn't it?
What a tonic though for Leinster. So they just played a very sensible game there, just tried to control the phases, you know, wait for Castres to make a mistake, maybe get 3 points before half time. But it really was that break, ball inside from Darcy, on the diagonal from Luke Fitzgerald. Took the ball at pace and powered through the defensive line, almost turned over by Castres. Leinster just got numbers there, and then 2 wide passes. They had been in behind it, the line was breached, and the rest was Gopper.
And Gopperth lets the conversion slip wide, but what a first 40 we've seen. 4 tries, evenly split, and that break there, the incision from Luke Fitzgerald, eventually finished wonderfully well out wide there by Jimmy Gopperth. And let's just watch the quality of this finish again.
2 tries from Jimmy Gopperth. He's making Matt O'Connor look like a genius as well in selection.
So half-time at the Stade Pierre Antoine. Castres in front, but Leinster still very much in it. 17 points to 12. Well, welcome back to the Stade Pierre Antoine. Leinster just coming out. They will have the wind at their backs in this last 40 minutes, and what a 40 minutes it promises to be. Without a doubt, the biggest of their season so far. Leinster, they won European silverware in each of the last 3 seasons. But certainly I would have thought that their future in the Heineken Cup may well hinge on their performance in the next 40 minutes.
Certainly, and they'll have to impress and improve in their tackling. Going too high, getting stepped too easily, allowing offload by the Castres team. Other factors is the wind. How big of a factor is that going to be? It'll certainly allow them to play a more territorial-based game and squeeze the life out of Castres. They've also lost their talisman, Tals as it were, at number 10. And how will Kirkpatrick go? We'll find out in the next 40.
Yes, it was a blistering start from Castres, those 2 tries. Richie Gray, and then the fullback Brice Dulin. But Jimmy Gopperth responding with 2 very classy finishes indeed. There you can see Remy Tal is on the left. So we're all set to go. The second 40 in the sunshine at the Stade Pierre Antoine. The catch from Barcelelli, the Samoa international.
Release!
The 2 first choice 8s at Castres not available today. Anthony Klaassen, he's watching. Also Pedri Vandenberg. Good hands there from Lamara. There's Jeremiah by. Good tackle that from Fitzgerald. Had to stand up to By. Kirkpatrick. That was Dulin. Here's Grosso. He's got real speed, Grosso. Inside ball there to Wiongi. Kirkpatrick sees a gap. He's got Forestier on one side. Long pass out here, this time to Evans. Well, the ball went forward.
The ball went forward, but has to be concerns in the Leinster Cup about how easily the line is getting broken, and it's really this defensive system, this fast up defensive system. Castres have identified how to get round it. They hold their depth, they take their time, they pass the man next to them, and on a couple of occasions now they've broken the Leinster defence. But more worrying than that, we're getting around the defence. They've also got through them, with Kirkpatrick making a great break, losing his head a little bit and throwing a real speculator that ended up going forward.
And this has been a very productive part of the game as well today for Castres. Let's see how this first set piece of the second half goes for Leinster. Leinster do have Cian Healy up their sleeves. He was the rabbit out of the hat.
Castres have
before kick-off, wasn't he?
Pekrishvili and Lazar waiting on the bench. 2 men who could really get in and make a difference in the scrum.
Well, that is Mathieu Babillot. Just 20.
Crouch.
He's looked impressive so far today. Carried really well.
Bind. Set.
Utilises the left-hand fend. Carry the ball in one hand, trying to get those offloads.
Well, there it is. For Redden, back to Gopeth. Just firing it low and hard down to that corner, and Brice Dulin knows that he's got to be at his swiftest, and you can see the way the ball had just held up in the air. You couldn't really see it on that shot, but it was almost coming back at Castres when it got to the highest point of its trajectory. Brice Dulin. A couple of seasons ago, he was playing on the wing for Agen, made the move to fullback, made the move to Castres, and he now is the leading 15 in France.
Grosso very flat in defence there. Could have bought himself an extra few metres. Just hold off the defensive line. Don't give that massive space for Goffert to drive the ball into. Makes it a very easy kick, and it doesn't do your fullback any favours. A huge amount of ground to cover.
Redden onto Gopeth. Geordie Murphy. That was a thumping hit from Vahasaleli. Tone up. Here's Darcy. The tackle there from Forestier, the loose head. Murphy getting knocked back again. Babillot and Vahasaleli involved in that tackle.
And I think fatigue may be a factor here with this Castres team. They don't appear to be as conditioned as the Leinster side. We saw at half-time that try really shouldn't have been a try before half-time. It was, oh yes, there was the break initially from Fitzgerald, but it was a simple defensive setup, and they just didn't get round the corner in time.
Crouch.
Well, Matt O'Connor won't have time to have half an eye or ear on events in Swansea, but they will certainly have an impact on their fortunes. And look here, another one. It looked to be there for, well, the referee's blown his whistle. The scrum has been causing problems for Leinster today.
It has, and I'm just wondering if Leinster are getting a proper strike on that ball. It's almost like they look to be trying to implement the old rules and get a drive over, and that's not going to happen against this Castres side. They really need to get the strike on the ball. This is a great attacking position as well. Garcia has to defend the open side. That means they only have two down the short. Leinster have two down the short side in Carney, and they have another Carney ready to come around the short side from the boot position behind the scrum. Darcy also over there.
So here we are again. That's a little better. Although, well, the ball's out, says the referee, and there goes Heaslip popping out the side. Darcy holding his palms up as if to say, give me the ball. Well, then it was lost forward. It will this time be a scrum and a Castres ball.
Big trouble for Leinster at scrum time. Very difficult to win a game of this nature when your scrum is under that pressure. I reckon you have to forget about moves utilising your back row when your scrum is under that pressure. You just have to feed it, have all 8 pushing as hard as you can, and then have the 9 get that ball out of there as fast as possible. As soon as the 8 breaks, as soon as Jamie Heaslip is looking to move the ball and looking to pick and go, the scrum flies backwards.
You have to say that Serge Mias and David Carrère didn't look particularly enthused there on the bench. Let's hope that isn't communicated to the players. They need a massive last 34 minutes. Here goes Grosso coming off the left wing. There's Kirkpatrick, Lamara's through the gap. Evans is looking for it in a minute. Terrifically out of the back of the hand there. Here's Dulin, on to Evans. Lamara again, breaching the defence. Here's by Gray. This is just the start to the second half that Castres were looking for. By tries to puncture another hole. Doesn't find it that time. Grosso. They're in the possession of Rallier now. There it is for Cedric Garcia. So it will be a Castres scrum.
And Leinster again too high in the tackle, as a result being exploited by Evans and Lamarat. Great line, big handoff, big fin, step around Carney, out the back door to Doolan, straighten the line, and really strong work by Evans. Should have been kicked into touch. Really silky skills by Lamarat.
Yeah, if you look at that offload, you simply haven't seen anything better than that anywhere this season.
He's looked really quality here today, and he's broken up the Leinster defence. He's run very powerfully. A great line coming in off his right foot underneath the Leinster defence, but he managed to get back out again, and that's a sign of a really good winger. That taking that ball short, taking the inside ball, but then fighting to get back out, because that's where all his support was. And Doolan was again waiting for the ball with Evans on the outside, made huge yardage.
Yeah, just to talk a little bit about Remy Lamarat, he's doing here what many people thought he would do 2 or 3 seasons ago at Toulouse. Didn't get too many opportunities there. When he did, he impressed, but then he had 2 very serious knee injuries. Missed almost 2 complete seasons. Made the switch to Castres. Took almost a season to get over one of those knee problems. But now, he's a first choice selection, and we saw there the sort of touches and skills that were honed at the Toulouse Academy.
And real size as well for a centre. Those 2 centres are much bigger than the Leinster centres.
There it is for Farsalelli. Farsalelli up to within 5 metres. There in support was Grosso. It's there for Christoph Samson. Through goes Saramaia by.
Lost.
Such an important phase of the match, this. Kirkpatrick. Still going Kirkpatrick. There it is for Garcia. Garcia off to Diarra. Diarra's still going. Eventually taken down. It's been turned over. An opportunity here for Geordie Murphy. Fitzgerald took a couple of grabs at it. Redden tries to feed the ball inside, and I think it went off the side there of the scrum half, Cedric Garcia.
Good turnover, but we saw what a dominant scrum can do. Fasaeli had the opportunity to really pick and go and drive into that 10 channel, because the whole of the Leinster back row was stuck to the scrum, having to keep their heads down, having to scrummage. And that's the concern. If there's opportunities in the 22, it's going to be very easy for the number 8 to make huge yardage.
Well, Nigel Owens has given Leinster the opportunity of the scrum or line, with the ball deemed to have gone forward off the hand of Cedric Garcia. They've opted for the scrum here.
Don't know if I'd be super keen to take a scrum in that position. Maybe give the front row a bit of a break. Also, Leinster had a real opportunity to go the length of the field there and butchered the chance a bit. A surprise turnover, but calmer heads could have enabled them to make huge yardage or indeed have scored a try.
It's still 17 points to 12. Half an hour remains. It is about the worst section of the pitch. Down the tram lines on this side, which, as you'll gather, is the part of the pitch which spends most of its time in shade. It's been very, very wet over the course of the last fortnight, despite the conditions you see now, which is almost a perfect January day.
And Grosso's very detached from the defensive line here. The 3 inside him, Fitzpatrick, By and Lamarat, quite tight together. Grosso's quite detached. It must be intriguing for Leinster. It must be tempting for them to go to that, or the wiper kick. Bring him up and wiper into that big box area behind them.
That's better from Leinster. There's the kick from O'Driscoll. Well, directly into touch, and that is the occasion when this wind at your back doesn't always work your way. We saw a couple of times when it worked against Castres in the first half.
They saw there was about a metre in it, maybe trying to just be a bit too greedy, take too much yardage. They had the angle. O'Driscoll hit it well, just flew off the boot and about a metre into touch. Very heavily penalised for a slight inaccuracy.
Well, here come two of the front row reinforcements for Castres. Also coming on for Leinster is Shane Jennings. This is Brice Mack. He's the first choice hooker at Castres. The alteration in the back row for Leinster, Kevin McLaughlin goes off, and Karina Wiongi, who's put in a big shift in the first 50 minutes on the tight head side for Castres. He's also left to be replaced by Anton Pekrishvili. And such is, I beg your pardon, Chair, I was going to say that such is Pekrishvili's reputation. He's been recruited by Racing Metro for next season.
He's a monster of a player. He is not going to weaken that scrum any. He also carries the ball very well and good in defensive line. Shane Jennings coming on for Leinster. Just a man to call in this situation. He'll go to 7. Jordy Murphy going to 6.
There's Varsalelli onto Garcia. Seremiah by bursting through. The offload to Kirkpatrick. Desperate defence. They'll need more. It may well have been turned by Leinster for the second time on their own try line in this second half. And how timely is that? Back to Gopper.
And Leinster are just not dealing with the power of the centres for Castres. They're carrying the ball so strongly. Leinster keep on going high. Gopher going far too high in a man on that side. Boy, it's just unstoppable if you go up that high. Power on his legs. They really need to employ the chop tackle and then get in over the ball, or else Lamara and Boy are going to keep on cutting up this Leinster back line.
Go, please.
Well, what a match this is. Dari Carrera on the left, Mias on the right.
Looking a little nervous.
The last time Castres lost here, 51 weeks ago, in round 6. On that occasion, the victory went the way of Ulster, but it wasn't enough for Ulster to secure a home quarter final.
Ball form, turn of the leader.
Well, another one for Leinster.
Mike McCarthy did very well there. He got in on the ball carrier. The rest of the pack had gone ahead. He got isolated and held him up. Held up Richie Gray, and as a result, a turnover. Again, you'd say a good position to maybe have an attack off, but the pressure that Leinster are on in the scrum, it's really a case of just getting out of here.
Well, Leinster know how tough it is to come here and get a result. 18-15, their only visit here when they were beaten by Castres in 2008. When Leinster went on to win the title, there are 6 players involved for Leinster today who were playing on that date 5 years ago. The likes of Brian O'Driscoll, Luke Fitzgerald. Let's listen to this.
Unless you get it right, the both of you going off. Is that clear? This is your final warning. Back you go.
So a final warning to both Mike Ross and to Yannick Forestier.
Get closer. Time on.
Sure, Yannick Forestier is saying, I'm going all right. Our scrum is dominant. You've just brought on the huge man from Eastern Europe in Pekrishvili. They've been dominating all game. The onus, you would imagine, is on Mike Ross to keep this scrum up.
Well, it's a free kick. The early push from Castres. High bounce for Dulin to deal with. Sweeps it wide to Lamara. Lamara surrounded by white jerseys. They've got to be careful here of Castres.
I think Brian O'Driscoll saw something he didn't like there, flew in from the centre. I think there may have been a bit of use of the boot from Garcia, but he wasn't happy whatever happened.
Well, it's an illustration of how high the stakes are. Yeah, I think you're right there. O'Driscoll making his feelings felt in the face of Cedric Garcia.
Time out. Derek.
Well, there it is.
Yeah,
Derek.
Brian O'Driscoll might have a point there. It's pretty cheap go at whoever was on the ground there by Garcia. He might be in a bit of trouble.
If the use of the boot by 9 is worthy of a penalty, please. Thank you.
So Derek Bevan being asked the question. 25.5 minutes remain at the Stade Pierre Antoine. Leinster top pool 1.
Where you're coming from, but you know better than to run in and deal. I am dealing with this. Don't run in. I am dealing with issues. Okay, that's the end of the matter. Back in good.
It wasn't too smart from Garcia. It's very obvious. The cameras are now.
Yes, I'm going to penalise 9. And
referee can go to it.
Happy with that?
And he's just cost his team a penalty in a very, very kickable position.
And it was Mike McCarthy who was getting trodden on.
It's a maul.
He's a big
it's
lad.
Legal. There's nothing wrong with it. You control the use of the boot, please. Back 10 metres.
Well, the punishment in the form of almost certainly 3 points. I don't want to raise a question at all for a moment about the judgment of Nigel Owens, but you could wonder whether he perhaps should regard himself to be fortunate to be staying on the pitch.
I'd say he's reasonably lucky there, and just because of the stupidity of it, the ball, there was nowhere near the ball. There wasn't a backward motion. It was done out of almost out of spite. So he is certainly lucky to remain on the field, and he's gone well today, and it's important. Garcia and Kirkpatrick are now key to this Castres performance.
Well, Jimmy Gopperth holds his nerve and his composure against the background. Just about the loudest boos and jeers we've heard all day.
That ultimately came from a really good kick chase from Leinster. Kicked down the touchline, put Dulon under huge pressure along with Lamoureux. This time didn't slip off the tackle, committed to the ruck, and then the moment of madness from Garcia resulted in a penalty.
So the first points of this second half. Here goes Pekrishvili. Garcia leaves it for Samson. Here goes Kirkpatrick.
White away.
Garcia continues to work the short side. Here's Brice Dulin.
Move away, White. Hughes.
Barcelelli. This time it's Babio. Garcia has his hands on the ball. Kirkpatrick. Jeremiah by again. That's been a very effective source today for Castres. There goes Kirkpatrick.
He puts pace on it every time he gets the ball. He takes it at full pace, and anyone at that size and strength is very hard to stop.
Well, that ball was out. Nothing wrong with that. Through goes Redden. Redden's in space here. Johnny Murphy's desperately trying to catch up with him. There goes Murphy.
Redden's been a threat all day, but another turnover from Jack O'Connor. Must be his 3rd or 4th turnover today. Puts Leinster in space.
McCarthy. Dave Carney was screaming for the ball. Well, has it been turned again? Great work there from Castres. Barcelelli. Poor pass back to Dulin. Poor kick from Dulin. Ball still alive. Rob Carney, the attempt at the drop. I tell you what, a superb hoop from Rob Carney.
It didn't look pretty, but it went over. A really big and important drop goal from Rob Carney there. Had plenty of time to play with after a poor kick out of defence from Cat. Picked up the ball, swung through it, and found its way over the crossbar.
So Leinster in front. Well, he took full advantage of that strong breeze, and as you say, it didn't fly particularly well through the air. But most importantly, it flew straight and true. Hanging restart, brilliantly taken. There goes Diarra. Babio. Castres almost guarantee a response. Garcia, Kirkpatrick spills it. Hacked on by O'Driscoll. Back goes Remy Lamara. Fitzgerald's coming across. There for Dulin. How swiftly this game changes. Dulin flies it out. There goes Evans.
Ball is
Suddenly
out.
now Castres find themselves just outside their 22.
Lost now off the feet. No. Hughes.
Well, it's a pause for breath.
It really is. It's 100 miles an hour. It's end to end. And we're seeing if you don't attack that ball.
1, 2, 3. Straight off your feet.
Three players off their feet. Penalty to Leinster. And another opportunity to add 3 points.
We have a man.
And Leinster were lucky there. Matt O'Connor wouldn't be happy after scoring the initial 3 points. They didn't attack that restart. Diarra, who has played fantastically so far today, claimed, and the ball was moved wide, eventually turned over, poor handling in the back line. O'Driscoll hacks on, and now we're in a situation where Leinster can extend their lead, having not done a whole lot.
Well, the side who came closest to beating Castres at home this season, Clermont-Auvergne, on that occasion it was a very late drop goal from Brock James, the last kick of the match, to tie it up at 22 points apiece. But now Leinster, and it wasn't a promising start to say the least. 2 converted tries giving Castres the head start. The 2 glorious finishes from this man. The boot of Goffert as well. And the drop goal from Rob Kearney. And that one just sneaking through.
He certainly did. He injured in the front row. The Ross is coming off, along with McGrath.
So there you can see, wearing 18, Martin Moore. Changes also on the Castres side. There is Mie Lazar, the Romanian loose head. They've also made an alteration at scrum half. Julian Thomas, the former Montpellier scrum half, is on for them. 21 points to 17. Leinster have the lead. On here, bursting through goes Cronin. Out from Redden, Goppeth, Darcy, the inside ball.
We see Healy there carrying straight away. That's a big part of his game. Eventually winning the penalty, but Healy's so powerful. Came back 4 weeks early from an ankle operation. Incredible. The medical staff really can't believe that he came back so early and straight into the action with a first touch, a big carry. And it's something I think Leinster have missed today. They've missed Sean O'Brien certainly in the carrying front. They've missed Cian Healy in the carrying front. But they have him on now.
Well, whatever they say within the Leinster management, there has to be an element of risk about bringing Cian Healy back so swiftly. Last time he played competitive rugby in that test match for Ireland against the All Blacks at the end of November. He then damaged the ankle in training at the start of December.
Darcy a little fortunate there, seemed to have gone off his feet but bounced up very quickly just before a referee got a chance to penalise him. See how Goffert goes with this.
Well, what a transformation we've seen. Can Goffert now stretch the lead to 7 points? Using the full force of the breeze at his back. That was a much better strike.
Time out, please.
Much better strike, and that'll settle them down.
7.
Game has gone a bit raggedy with all these substitutions, and it's suited Leinster. They're now playing very much a territorial-based game. Get the ball down there, put pressure on Castres, and force mistakes.
Yannick Caballero is on for Ibrahim Diarra. Alteration in the back row. Has that gone 10? Just, says the referee. Very well read by Brice Mack.
Maybe a nod to next week with Diarra for the week after with Diarra coming off there. He's been their form player.
Kirkpatrick. Tremendous offload again from Farsalelli. Some of the offloading today from Castres has been impressive, but here's a turnover. Redden with a kick ahead. Bit of a tug on the jersey from Sarah by. Doolan gets first run on it. Well gathered by the fullback. Not too well kicked though. Chance to counter here. Here goes Carney.
Release, Blue!
Straight into the full force there of Miguel Lazar. Spilled that time. He went backwards, says the referee. Ball still alive. On the Castres side though. Kirkpatrick. The ball held up in the wind. Super catch over his shoulder there from Fitzgerald. Rob Carney goes for that corner.
All on.
Picked up by Bai. Here's Doolan. Doesn't have that many options. Caballero. On to Gray, who's got Grosso on one side. Thomas. Kirkpatrick.
This is better. They need to play some phases. Just force the offload there. Just as I said, a commentator's curse. They just need to play phases, get their big men running, get the ball to Lamarat, get by carrying the ball again. Fasaeli has been carrying the ball really well. They've just started in the last 10 minutes to look a bit lateral. They've looked as if they're trying to force the game, and the moment they tried to force the game, Leinster are capitalising on their mistakes. Owen Redden's looked really sharp today, sniping constantly around the ruck, and has made huge yardage on a couple of occasions.
Well, the degree of difficulty on that offload, perhaps a little too high. Certainly when it was directed at Christoph Samson, who it was who spilled it forward. 15.5 minutes remain. Leinster lead by 7. Would we honestly have thought we'd have been saying that after 20 minutes here? Redden with a put-in. Come back into the shade. Rob Carney with a kick. Mindful of the wind at his back. That's a super touch.
That's fantastic, and that's one of the benefits of having a left footer in your team and someone who is so good at kicking as Rob Carney. We saw his drop goal earlier. That was pinpoint accurate. Almost kept the ball in and forced Castres to run it into touch. As it is, there'll be a hugely pressurised line out. They're 10 metres out from the Castres line.
5.
Castres, third at the moment in the top 14. Unbeaten in their last 18 matches at the Stade Pierre Antoine. Good time to bring on some experience for Leinster. Here he is. The Heineken Cup winning captain, the man who's played in 4 finals, Leo Cullen.
And next year's new coach.
There goes Toner. Within 5 metres, Leinster. Cronin. There are gaps out wide. The precision of the handling, though, a bit short of 100%. They still have possession, though.
You're looking for that play.
There's
on.
Boss.
Get on to the game.
Boss again. A little stab through from Gopper. Oh, just a bit too much on it.
And it was on. Luke Fitzgerald was roaring with a couple of phases before that. He pulled right out to the touchline. Gopper was just a little pressurised and taking the kick, put too much on it. But it was certainly there. The option was right, just the execution was poor.
Well, Castres are bringing on Marcel Garvey. He will replace Saramaya Bai. So Max Evans, I think, will move in one.
I think some of these substitutions smack of throwing the towel in a little bit. He's been, along with Diarra, sensational today. He carried the ball so well. He doesn't seem to have any injury. So you just wonder if the Castres coaches are now protecting their assets.
Kirkpatrick with a little chip. Gopeth was in there.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, the referee's blown his whistle. It came off the foot of the referee, who pleads his guilt.
Yes, the ball hit me, so I could not play advantage. Yes, sure, Bob. The ball hit me, so I couldn't play advantage.
Castres will have the put in.
The ball came
Jimmy
off
Goffer getting in the air, but not quite gathering the ball. You see Castres stacking the left-hand side of the field, no one down the short side.
9.
Leinster defensive system, they got 3 up flat. the two cornies in the backfield. A real position that Castres might try and attack.
Bind.
Well, I'm not sure what the hand signals mean there from Yannick Forestier. Pick up from Barcelelli. That's Kirkpatrick. Out to Evans. Evans finds his way blocked. There's Gordon Darcy in the thick of it. Well, it's been turned over. Again and again. Moore's in position. There's Cian Healy.
Away, Drew. No problem.
Boss. Gopeth. Upended. Isaac Boss. Here's Rob Carney, the change of direction.
Release, Blue.
Well, Leinster in possession in the Castres bottom third. It's where they want it. They lead by 7. Boss straight there into Richie Gray.
Luke Fitzgerald on the touchline screaming for the cross kick again. He's looked sharp today, looking for touches.
That's Gordon Darcy trying to find a way through on the fringes. It's lost. Lazar shovels it out, but that was clumsy. And there's an opportunity for O'Driscoll here. Flips the ball up to Carney.
And Leinster are just squeezing the life out of this Castres team. But they're going from deep. And Leinster are short here. And Garvey's got real pace.
Garvey's got Lamara alongside him. There goes Marcel Garvey. Important tackle there by Fitzgerald. And Cronin is offside. And Nigel Owens is going into his pocket. Clear and obvious. So they're down to 14, Leinster. Is there another twist?
And Matt O'Connor will be going crazy on the sideline. That is just the thing you don't want to do. Leinster in control of this game. They got to a position where they're 17 points to 24 with 10 minutes left. And those final 10 minutes, they're going to be down to 14 men.
Yes, essentially playing the rest of the match. Indeed, they may play the rest of the match with just 14 men. Castres trail by 7.
Number 5, Blue.
And really good ambition by Castres. You see Leinster were down there, they're putting them under pressure. They turned the tide, they threw the ball out wide, quick line out, moved it wide. Garvey's got, everybody knows the outstanding pace, big yardage. And all of a sudden Leinster are in a comfortable position from being very comfortable, very dominant. Castres side is 15 against 14, and they'll be buoyed by that.
Well, Pula Barcelelli is coming off.
Time on.
Well, he doesn't want to go. He was shaking his head the moment he saw his number on the board. Benjamin Desroches is on, and that is in touch.
Every inch out of that kick, every single inch, and even acrobatics by Carney couldn't keep it in. But this is such a dangerous position for Leinster. You've got to think, they'll set the rolling ball here. Castres, they still have a lot of bulk. Tate, Chris Philly, Lazar, these are huge men, and this is their bread and butter, rolling mauls.
So the line out, 5 metres out. Brees Mack will want to hit his man. He finds Sampson. It's with Lazar. Here's the drive. They have to defend for their lives. There's Brees Mack. They're doing well at the moment, Leinster. They're playing for the Heineken Cup here.
Castres just stalled for a moment. It seemed as if it was there for them.
Well, the arm's out. Leinster have come offside. They regroup. It's there for Lamara. Looks up. Still playing advantage.
Still advantage.
They must use it. Brees Mack with a pickup. Sampson has possession. We're going to come back with a penalty.
You've got to think the scrum is the option to go for here. A dominant scrum all day for Cat. Could have a Leinster 7 or 7+1 back, given an overlap in the back line. Huge problems here for Leinster.
Well, the water boy is bringing on water, but I think it's the instruction here that counts. You could see the whisper in the ear from Serge Mias, couldn't you?
Well, he wouldn't be the first water boy to bring on instructions.
It doesn't matter that I haven't got the number, because I wasn't going to yellow card anyway. I appreciate why you thought the ball was out.
Yeah, I think we know
the ball
that.
Was not out,
It was.
it's just a penalty and nothing more.
We just saw it so clearly there, didn't we?
But Leinster were lucky there. It seemed like the perfect maul from Castres. They seemed to have the chink in the Leinster armoury, and they stalled just for a second. And that moment's hesitation allowed Leinster to sack the rolling maul, illegally as it was. And they've gone for a line out.
Try and have a look at numbers, my boys.
Well, it was Castres who got off to the super fast start, but now it's Leinster who are hanging on. There is Serge Mias.
I hope that water boy said the right call.
There it is for Thomas. They've held up Castres so far of Leinster. There's the pick-up and the drive.
Release.
Presented by Babio. Here's Pekrishvili. Almost had the jersey pulled off his back. Thomas. Hands on the ball. Head down again. That time it's Caballero. Babio. Thomas. Kirkpatrick into Evans. They don't have the same destructive power in midfield that they had with Jeremiah Bai on the pitch. The pick-up from Lazar. Kirkpatrick. That time it's Caballero. The wiry back rower. There he is presenting it. Kirkpatrick. That's Deroche. Oh, it's been stripped.
Stolen by White.
And you've got to hand it there to the Leinster defence. They drove Castres back metre by metre, and now they're back in their own half.
And they're absolutely sapped of energy. Luke Fitzgerald could barely muster a jog.
No way, play on.
But they kept their defensive line intact, not very fast, but they've fought their way to the 40. But this type of attritional play is exactly what Castres, they used to do this week in, week out in top 14, grinding teams down, committing man after man, and eventually looking for that overlap.
The clock says 7 minutes remain. Leinster down to 14. Cronin is in the sin bin. And he'll be there until at least the 80th minute. Pekrishvili getting under Toner. Easily done at 6'11". Kirkpatrick. Dulin. Castres, oh, and he's been stripped.
Advantage, lost blue.
Been lost
Advantage
forward.
White if you want. Advantage.
Here's the advantage if they want it.
The long wiper's on.
Advantage over.
The fullback committed upfield. Back goes Max Evans.
Welcome respite for Leinster. They need to contain them in here.
Remy Grosso now in some space. Just dropped his shoulder there into Dave Carney.
Carney did well there. Gross is very, very quick. He could go the length, and that's what they're looking for now.
Well, Babio, the youngster, still going. Only his second appearance for Castres. Kirkpatrick. Lamara. Oh, and the offload too complicated this time.
And he didn't need to do it. And that's been a number of occasions in the last couple of minutes. They've forced an offload, tried something special, and it's been turned over.
Feet, Blue. Feet, please.
Oh, that was shadow boxing for a moment, wasn't it? Evans. Oh, Evans is through. The kick ahead, that's for Grosso to get after. But it didn't come off the centre of the boot. Back goes Darcy, the ball sits up there. But then the rather ugly slice, and the pressure again coming from Castres.
You can feel it, you can feel the pressure mounting. Very difficult for Leinster to maintain the defensive line. Wave after wave of Castres attack. That time a great bait by Evans, kicked through. Darcy does well to get back and slices the ball into touch.
Time out.
And now the pressure's going to come on.
Richie.
Well, it's Brice Mack who's taken a knock. as much as anything, I think it's a chance for this Castres pack to catch breath.
Still surprised they didn't attempt to scrum down here in the right-hand corner when they had the opportunity. Instead went to the line out. Scrum seems to have worked really well for them today. Heap up the pressure. They're going to have their third go now within 10 metres of the Leinster line out, Leinster line, to set a proper maul.
Mack to Samson again. And look at this Leinster defence. They are defending for their Heineken Cup lives. Penalty against Castres. Did you see the way Shane Jennings flew in there?
Flew in with his hair on fire and cleaned out one of the Castres players.
Time out.
And we're going to see it here.
The sheer ferocity. There you go.
Time out.
What a hit. What a hit, and exactly what you want. And then Cian Healy double job in making the tackle up on his feet. And that ball gets turned over, and that relieves the pressure on Leinster that has been building over the course of the latter stages of this game, and in particular since the yellow carding of Sean Cronin.
Well, Leinster are demonstrating their big occasion credentials. The two other Heineken Cup sides have been here this season. First Northampton, then the Ospreys, went home with losing bonus points. You wouldn't have given Leinster much chance of that after the first 10 or 15 minutes here when they went 2 tries down. But the way they have responded, and now they are within 4 minutes of leaving with 4 points.
And they won't be in any hurry to take this line out. Just as the penalty was given, Gordon Darcy's been changed. He's coming off. He was struggling with a calf injury all week. Looked as if he wasn't going to make it. Finally made it on the pitch, performed well today. But Ian Madigan takes his place at 12, alongside his teammate and rival, Jimmy Gofford.
It's been turned over by Castres. There's Mack. Kirkpatrick. They still have the additional man, remember. Oh, and it's turned again. And here he goes, Madigan, drifting across field. There's an opportunity here. Cutting inside. Cian Healy, 2-on-1. Murphy for the corner. And that surely is it.
Cian Healy take a bow. Madigan goes from left to right after a great turnover. Jimmy Gofford identifies the mismatch. And here's Cian Healy. Look at the power. He had a man outside, stepped in, pumped the legs, the power that everybody knows he has, and then had the awareness to ship the ball out to Jordy Murphy, who runs in for a try. But look at this. He saw the defence sliding across. He comes in underneath Lazar and Gray, and that is a bit of a dodgy pass. But a quick conversion means that the points are on the board, and that's game over.
Well, it's also 3 tries. Well, let's not get greedy. But at the top of their wish list today would have been the 4 tries.
Well, it certainly gives them the freedom to go after it that didn't exist before that try.
And they have a couple of minutes to secure it. And that's landed in the hands of Daventona.
There's a good chance this ball is going to go wide.
2 minutes to go. 29 points to 17. What a response it's been from Leinster. Here's Cullen. And several hundred people came down to this from Dublin. The restaurants, the streets, the bars of Castres, and there are not many of them, were brimming with Leinster followers last night. And they have been rewarded, though it has been a fairly slow reward.
We've seen that a couple of times, the forwards linking very well with the backs, and that occasion was Devon Toler. Normally they expect him to carry, but he passes the ball out the back to the number 10, who then distributes the ball wider. And we've seen that on a number of occasions by the forwards.
That was taken in by another replacement there, Zane Kirshner. Madigan that time.
Release now, Blue. Lost.
A little more than a minute remains. What a match we've seen at the Stade Pierre, Antoine. It's had just about everything. There goes the Springbok Kirshner. Up to halfway. Leinster in possession. How much would that next try mean if it comes? Carney trying to force a hole into the defence. There's Heaslip.
And all of a sudden it looks like Castres the man down. Shane Jennings with a loose pass. Hit Gofford in the face, and now opportunity.
Fakrishvili, Kirkpatrick releasing Garvey. They didn't have too much space to operate in. Thomas, here's Christophe Sampson, holding it up for Lazare. He slipped with the tackle. There it is for Thomas. Out to Garvey. Garvey inside to Kirkpatrick. Well, we could have a final try. May well go the way of Castres. Driven forward by De Roche. Within 5 metres of the try line. Thomas goes himself. It's the final play.
No! Last play.
There is Sampson. Oh, it's taken on. Half a metre short. He's grounded it. That may well have been scored.
May well. The only issue would be if there's a double movement. But it may be a consolation try to Cat. And there's a lot of fatigued bodies out there. See Brian O'Driscoll's on all fours, sucking in the air. There's Castres bodies all over the place. It's been physical and it's been tiring.
Well, Remy Lamarat, it was, who had the ball over the line, just coming through. There he is. Now, what's your judgment on this, Shane?
I reckon that's a try. I think he's reached out, and which he's perfectly entitled to do. A very powerful man gets underneath the pillar. Jordy Murphy won't be happy with that. You've got to be underneath the attacking man. He reaches out, seems to cross the line. And Lamarat, who's been one of the big figures today for Castres, played very well. Broken the line on many occasions. Gets a deserved try.
Well, it was his break which created the opening try of the day.
When there's a ruck, when he picks it up from in the ruck, please.
And the discussions
I want to see the ruck itself, where
between
he picks it up
Nigel
from in the ruck.
Owens and Derek Bevan continue.
Big fight there by O'Driscoll. Tries to get on the ball. Jordy Murphy just a little bit too high. The original pillar goes into the ruck. And then Jordy's fatigued. Not low enough. Lamarat goes under him, and if it's not a try, it's very close.
I can't see nothing wrong in that ruck. I can't see if the man behind is bound or not. So it's quiet, please, and get back behind that line.
Sounding rather like a schoolmaster. He's going to award the try, isn't he?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
So Castres get their try. Lemmy Lamarat gets his reward. And Castres will go away with a losing bonus point. It's not what they came home for. They've lost their unbeaten home record. It's gone back 51 weeks since they were beaten here in round 6 of the Heineken Cup last season by Ulster. But what a game we've seen.
It was a phenomenal game, and just a period of sloppiness. You can see how much it means to Lamarat there, almost in tears at the end of the game. Really, this proud home record really means something to this Castres team. And if it wasn't for a period of sloppiness, just either side of the half-time whistle, Castres really could have won this game. And Leinster handed them an opportunity with 10 minutes to go by Sean Cronin being binned. But in fairness to them, they performed very well for that 10 minutes.
And Julian Thomas with the attempt at the conversion, swings it wide across the face of the post, and there goes the whistle, which signals the end of the match. Leinster, what a performance it has been. They came back from 2 tries down, They have shown and demonstrated their Heineken Cup quality, their Heineken Cup pedigree, and now they go back to Dublin next week, where they will look to seal their place in the quarterfinals. Darcy, recovery there from Brian O'Driscoll. And there's the clearance kick into the wind. The bounce for a moment, embarrassing Evans. On to Brice Dulin. Dulin, he too in that France squad for the Six Nations. Very talented fullback. Garcia, who's only made a handful of appearances this season. Probably the number 3 scrum half at Castres, behind Cockett and the replacement today. It's a good catch there for Carney early on with that sun, which yet can be quite difficult, can't it, today?
It can. I think a low wiper into that right corner could cause trouble for Luke Fitzgerald. The sun's just at eye level and could be struggling. Apart from that, I don't think it's going to play a major factor. What we see there from Castres, though, is interesting. Carrying the ball more than we expected. We also saw an indication of the line speed of Leinster, which looks very, very fast. In the warm-up before the game, we saw them trying to get off the line, trying to knock the players down behind the gain line, and that's something that O'Connor has brought to this Leinster side this year.
Christoph Samson, the target there in the line-out, man who's played in the last 2 top 14 finals, although interestingly the only man of quite a few who's played in the last 2 top 14 finals who emerged as a winner from one of them. The reason being that whilst Toulon were in the last 2 finals, Samson played in the first of those finals for Toulon and then against Toulon last time for Castres.
This is a great attacking position for Leinster. Early on they showed that they want to move the ball. Scrum on the left-hand side, plenty of room to work. The Castres full-back a little bit deeper. There's space in the middle, but also you can see Luke Fitzgerald, the position that he's holding just on the right-hand side of the scrum. He'll be looking to get involved, and Leinster will try and have a full back line against 4+1 in the Castres D.
Yes, you've already mentioned today, Shane, the emotional pull, just how influential that is with French clubs, particularly so here at Castres, and maybe that to a degree can be measured by the number of empty seats at the Stade Pierre, Antoine. It's reasonably full. We understood that the tickets weren't shifting particularly fast. They don't play that many games on a Sunday. If this was Oyonnax on a Friday night, the top 14, you can guarantee every seat would be full.
I think so. I think the other thing that is a factor here for the Castres team is they're under such pressure from the home fans. They live in, this is a town where they meet the fans on the street. They have to, if they want to go for a cup of coffee, they want to have a meal out, they're going to meet the fans. That places a responsibility on the performance, and whether that be on a Sunday or on a Friday night under lights, they have to stay here for the rest of the week.
Yes, it's a real small town atmosphere, isn't it? But a traditional rugby town in the southwest of France. About an hour's drive from Toulouse, the Ville Rose, which is very much the capital of this part of France. Big game happening there later today. But 1 hour or so down the winding road to Castres. It's a very different psychology. And in rugby terms, it's very hard as well. Well, Marc-Antoine Rallier, unable to find his man. We saw Brice Mack had those problems, the hooker, when the reverse fixture happened at the RDS. There's Evans turning on a sixpence, the Scotland international. Garcia out to Tallez. There's Dulin onto Seremiah by giving some go forward here to Castres. That was Tallez taking it on, but he's been stripped. Great work there from Jack McGrath, but then a little bit clumsy and it went forward. And then a second knock-on. Referee's playing the advantage. In fact, I'm not sure there was a first knock-on, or there was, but not the one I thought it was. Oh, in fact, he has been steered from the sideline there as Nigel Owen, so that first knock-on from Leinster has been spotted.
And great tackle there from both Jack McGrath and Owen Redden. One holding up, the other grabbing the ball, wrestling the ball out, and eventually coming back on the Leinster side. Two-man tackle, something that Irish teams work very hard on, and to great effect. We saw the carrying of By there in midfield. Leinster will not be happy with him getting his hands free. That's what his game is based around. Give him the ball early, he runs at a gap, and hopefully he can get his hands free and get Lamarat and Dulin, Rousseau and Evans running off him.
There's Jeremiah Bai in the centre, now 35. He's played 49 test matches for Fiji.
You carry a bit of ball for you.
There's an outstanding career in France, and there we see the power of that Castres pack. Here goes Bai again, just staying on his feet. He's made rather more metres than Leinster would have liked. Darcy there over the ball, secured out by Diarra. Here goes Forestier, the loose head, held up by Mike Ross. It's gone forward again, so both sides turning over plenty of ball at the moment. There's McCarthy.
There's a lot of space in the backfield with a turnover. Castres are very committed when they're attacking, so they have all the backs up flat, including their wingers and full back. If there's a quick turnover, there's a lot of space in behind that could be exploited by a long kick.
Out there from Owen Redden, Gordon Darcy, the little stab through. Gathered by Luke Fitzgerald, there's the offload.
And Luke Fitzgerald has been so good since he came back after a long injury. He's looked really sharp in the last couple of months.
Rob Kearney, his 50th appearance today in the Heineken Cup. Well, you just mentioned him. Good stepping there again from Fitzgerald, but it's turned over. That's Babio, the youngster. Out from Samson, couldn't find Diarra, to Remy Grosso. Grosso fires it over the shoulder there of Dave Kearney, and there you saw the influence of that wind. It's blowing pretty hard out there. Brother Rob onto the left foot. Ball held up in the wind. Cedric Garcia, chance to counter here. Here's Barcelelli, the Samoa international. Babio is the first of the breakdown there. Here's Doolan. A hint of a numerical advantage. Castres, well, if there were any doubts about their commitment to this contest, they've been dispelled in these opening minutes.
They're certainly committed to it, and Leinster looked a little slow to get round the corner there. There was a danger. They should employ the lower kick. There's quite a strong breeze out there, and it's causing trouble for Leinster. They're trying to kick the ball long and high, it's holding up.
There's Bai, onto Richie Gray, the Scotland international. Gray said to be joined by his former Glasgow teammate Johnny Beattie next season. He's on his way to Castres, making a move from Montpellier. Here goes Diarra. Great offload from Diarra, taken by Lamara. Remy Lamara, he's away. May need a bit of support here. Great break from the former Toulouse man. Helped out by Tales. Real chance here for Castres. Out to Gray. And Richie Gray gets the try for Castres.
A great try for Castres. We mentioned hands-free is the problem. They were hands-free by Diarra in the middle of the field, and then a beautiful floated pass by Bay right over into the left-hand corner, and a try.
Well, the break was made by Remy Lamara, and fans from Ulster will remember how he started things off in that round 6 match last year when he got the early try against Ulster. Now Ulster came back. Can Leinster do the same?
Great ball by Bai there. That's the Leinster defence, fast in. It leaves the option on the outside, but they've really gone after the ball. They look for it. Great step on the outside, identified a mismatch, and that is fantastic ball out the back. Lamar really goes after it, and look at this fight. He keeps on fighting, hand off, pumping the legs, gets the extra yardage, commits more numbers, and then he doesn't go to ground. Tale gets the ball, and again this beautiful pass. Great vision from Bai, and a handy try for Mr. Gray.
We certainly saw the value of experience there from Jeremiah Bai, who I mentioned doesn't play too many matches here, but the try has been confirmed after it having been passed on there to Derek Bevan for confirmation. Well,
special play by Diarra though. Really was fantastic. He looked out the back, held down just before he went to ground, got the ball off in behind the Leinster back, popped up, and Lamara really fought so hard. Used his pace, his power, got a big strong fend, and eventually moved the ball wide.
Well, it may look like water or something similar in that 50-metre stretch between the near touch line there, or from the near touch line. It's something of a sand pit. The last game here was 9 days ago when Castres beat Bordeaux-Bègles. There wasn't a try scored in that match, but we've had one very swiftly here. So here's the left foot of Cedric Garcia. And Garcia, well, stroked it as if he's been taking them all season. That, in fact, just his 4th competitive kick this season, but significantly, he has yet to miss one.
And Leinster, if they want to compete in this game, will have to stop the hands free, and also they have to put the man down first time. There was 3 or 4 committed to that tackle, and as a result, it left them.
Well, welcome to the Stade Pierre, Antoine, the home of Castres. It's Pool 1 in the Heineken Cup. Both matches happening simultaneously here in the Tarn region of southwest France. The visitors are Leinster, and over 2 weekends when all sorts of permutations come into play, the most straightforward one here is that if Leinster win with a bonus point and Northampton don't match that at the Ospreys, then Leinster will qualify as pool winners. Well, let's take a look at the team, shall we? The Castres team reflects how torn the coaches are between their obligations to deliver to a home crowd and a resigned acknowledgement their hopes of qualification have all but gone. No Rory Cockett or Antoine Claassen. There's the Leinster side. Jimmy Gofforth was impressive off the bench for Leinster last weekend at Connacht. He starts at fly half, so is one of the alterations Matt O'Connor has made to the side, beaten by Northampton in round 4. In the back row, Geordie Murphy sees his first European involvement this season. He wears 7. At 6, Kevin McLaughlin, who's been missing with a thumb injury. Dave Carney referred to Zane Kirshner on one wing, and it's a special day for Dave's brother Rob, who joins an illustrious Leinster club. The fullback plays his 50th match in the Heineken Cup. The Castres replacements include hooker Brice Mack, who's been knocking on the door for inclusion in the France squad in recent months, and the rabbit out of the Leinster hat, the late inclusion of Cian Healy, set to make his first appearance since the end of November. Well, the Stade Pierre Antoine has been, well, not quite engulfed, but at least partially taken over by those Leinster flags. Ask any elite sportsman when you get the best out of them, and they'll tell you that it's when it matters most, when the nerves are jangling, when the prize is the greatest, and when the pressure to deliver is at its most acute. Now, no other side in the last 5 years in Europe has met that challenge head-on more often or more successfully than Leinster.
Well, the big question today is whether Castres will be emotionally invested in this game. They have a proud record here in this stadium, not having lost since Ulster came here last year, 51 weeks ago. Will that necessity to keep these home fans happy trump the reality that they're unlikely to move on in this tournament?
Well, Leinster forced into a change of strip today. If you look up in the sky, not a cloud to be seen. It's been very wet in the southwest of France over the last couple of weeks. You can see the evidence of that on the pitch. It really is very silty, sandy. It's reasonably firm underfoot, but there are some pretty bald patches. David Daddy-Carrère there, one of the coaching team at Castres, looking on. And the crowd waiting for the arrival of the French champions. Don't forget that. They're flying high at the moment in the top 14. This, I suppose you could describe it as it's the pool of you-know-what, isn't it? Very, very competitive indeed. And Castres not entirely out of it. A win here could send them to Northampton next week with a real chance.
I think this pitch gives a real indication of the type of game we're going to see from Castres today. From touchline to 15, it's really cut up, and that's the type of game they play. Last time Leinster came here, they moved the ball, they scored the tries, but ultimately it was Castres that came out on top, but they ground them down with a huge forward pack, and they have similar today. Fossier, Wihongi, Radier, all in the front row, big men, everyone.
Well, no compromises in terms of the quality of officials either. There is the referee, Nigel Owens. The cries of tous ensemble, traditional here at Castres, all together. Well, that I'm sure will be pretty much the message that Matt O'Connor delivered to Leinster today. It is a crucial afternoon in the pool phase of the Heineken Cup. And Jamie Heaslip, who, if you believe the rumours, could be on his way to France next season. Sean O'Brien, an injured teammate who will be missed today, who certainly is being lined up, it would appear, for a move to Toulon. But today it's all about Leinster. It's all about adding to that great record in Europe.
Ambition straight away from Leinster. We've seen the replacement for Sean O'Brien, Kevin McLaughlin, using the hands out the back and linking the forwards to the backs very well. We saw Jamie Heaslip take the first ball. He's going to have to carry a lot more today. Leinster without their two primary ball carriers in O'Brien and Healy, although Healy is on the bench.
An interesting call from Leinster. They won the toss, and so they had the option, and they're playing into what is a pretty strong breeze. It's blowing, as you look at the picture, from right to left. There's also a very bright but a wintry sun hanging over the back right-hand corner of us, if you know what I mean. So there will be one or two kicks down towards the Leinster end here that will have the back three squinting into the sun. There goes Seremaya by, the Fiji international. Cedric Garcia, there's no problem there with Gopper. He was onside. Remy Tallis steps in to play scrum half. In all likelihood, he will be the starting 10 for France when the Six Nations gets underway. There's Garcia. No Rory Cockett here. Don't forget that. Remy Lamara straight into the action, the former Toulouse centre. There goes Tallis again. Really is a classic 10. France have been looking for one of those for quite a while. Oh, Farsalelli lets it slip through his fingers. It's turned over. Out from Heaslip. That was a bit too high for